Welcome to a Saturday edition of Morning Scone presented by Brock, Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic, Hudco Roofing, hudcoroofing.com. Hope your weekend's off to a great start. Hope you had a great week. A lot to delve into here. Kind of beyond our, oops, one second. Kind of beyond our football Saturdays, but still a lot going on. LSU hoops today, back on the floor against Georgia Tech off their finals break. You have UFC 269 tonight. Charles Oliveira against Dustin Diamond Poirier, Lafayette's own title fight for a Lafayette guy. Heisman Saturday, of course. Got Bryce Young's going to win the Heisman tonight. Another Alabama guy. And Army Navy is today, so a ton. It's funny whenever your football Saturdays end, sort of everything starts getting crammed into them. So that's where we are. Also, a little bit of news: Mike Elko. Someone kind of hoped LSU may target him to be the DC, but a little hard to do that when you're making $2.1 million. You're the highest paid coordinator of the country. Well, Mike Elko is the new head coach at Duke, so it's a good thing. I mean, Jimbo's got to go now. Now has to go hire a DC, and Elko is a really good one. Yeah, it means LSU has competition in the DC market from another Power Five and an SEC West school. But trust Brian Kelly to hire a good assistant and get it done in a timely manner. I'm kind of curious if maybe at this point he doesn't already have somebody, but. But maybe if they're still playing a bowl game or something like that, they're way to announce. So we'll see all that in time. So let's say some good morning, see what y'all got, fire away. A big recruiting weekend as well. LSU football hosting a bunch of official visitors out on campus this weekend. So big recruiting weekend for Brian Kelly and his staff. All right, Kelly Presley, good morning. Cody Sibley, Kelly Gross, Michael Kleber, good morning. Jimmy Babin, Charlie Cavell, what's up, y'all? Charlie, go Army, beat Navy. So split allegiances here. Dad's a Navy guy. So we've always kind of been a house that leans Navy. But man, there's some Calicut guys over on the Army side with Chris Cameron, who's Cam Cameron's son, who went to Catholic High, who's at Army. Connor Finucane, Michael Chernauskas, all on the team. Matthew Tilley, of course, our partner with Hudco, Richard Tilley. His son Matthew is in his first year at West Point. So a lot of ties there to Army. But do they override the biggest one, which is Dad's a Navy guy? So, we'll see. Probably just cheer for both. Ryan Amanda Guidry, Blaine Smith, Westgate, congrats, state champs. Yeah, man, that's why Keishon Butte was down there. So congrats to all the teams. I know U High won last night. Congrats to the Cubs. There's someone, I feel like there's someone else I might be missing, but yeah, congrats to all the teams that won and all the teams that made it this far, and good luck to all the teams playing tonight. I know, of course, Zachary's playing tonight, so good luck to Brew and the guys. Chris Carrier, my guy CC, will be pulling for him against Ponchatoula tonight. Mark, good morning. Miles Brennan stays at LSU instead of going to Southern Miss like first reported. How do you feel about that? Yeah, Mark, I don't know that he's going to Southern Miss, man. I mean, you keep asking me about that. Nebraska had an in-home with him the other day. And I don't know that he's going to stay at LSU. I don't think that that's a. I don't know how much of a. Listen, I don't like to speak in absolute, so yeah, they'll never say never thing. But it sure feels like Miles Brennan severed ties and isn't coming back to LSU. I know he posted that sort of cryptic picture yesterday, coming through the puff of smoke. And maybe he's changed his mind after Max Johnson transferring out. But I still think even if Miles Brennan does return, that you have to go add another quarterback because you can't go into the season with just Miles Brennan and then Nussmeier, who has no experience, and a freshman in Walker Howard. So, anyway. Robert Anderson, good morning. Good morning, Landon. Good to see you as well. Matt Godwin, good morning. Scott Lumine. Was really hoping Dwayne would have showed up. Give him one more chance out of the goodness of your heart. Yep. Scott, Dwayne from Thibodeau did not show up with my $500 yesterday. So, is anybody surprised? I literally on air bet my life. I said, I bet my life he doesn't show up a week from Friday. No shocker. Jeremy Brinkmeyer, any truth to what Mike D said? Apparently said Kelly let him go because of poor performance. Who? Let who go? I don't know who you're talking about. Brian Broom, good morning. William Kimbrough, driving to the Dome for the 1A championship. All right. I don't know who's playing in 1A today. Forgive me. I haven't kept up with it all. But good luck. Good luck to all the teams playing today. Jason Horns, go Army. Yeah, man. Pelicans won last night. That was nice to see. To get Zion back in shape and make a run. Jason Souls, what's up? Buford Morris, Jonathan O'Neill. Word on Kelly talking to Brennan about staying. I mean, I wish I had some great insight on that for y'all, but it has just been really quiet on that front. And most of what I hear is like, yeah, he's not coming back. So, no. I wish I had something more for you. I'll try to ask around a little more, but I wish I had more for you. Alex Barnes, good morning. Stuart Boudreaux, Pat Huseman, Donald A. Me, Brown Bear, 765. Go Navy beat Army. All right, we got a Navy guy in the house. Trivia Carter, good morning. A Marine there, so of course, Navy guy. Stephen Bond, good morning. You think LSU knows who's the OC in DC? Maybe. I mean, I think they're making a real run at Pete Golding in Alabama. It was the first name I heard. Makes the most sense. Understand they're in the playoff, and so you wouldn't get him here until after the playoff, potentially. But if you're going to wait another month, I mean, you got to be able to tell your recruits, hey, this is who our DC is, right? Now, if that falls apart, what do you do? I don't know. Paul Batts, good morning. Front moved through this morning, went from summer to winter in 95 seconds. Yeah, it's supposed to happen here today. Like, we're supposed to get a 20-degree drop from, like, 75 to 55. Joey Vincent getting the next week right back up to, like, 80. Joey Vincent, good morning. Aaron Fontaine from High Point, North Carolina. All right. Brian and Andy Pitt, good morning from somewhere in New Mexico. George Reitmeyer, Stuart Boudreaux, Raymond, what's up? Morning from Knoxville. Can't wait for the basketball game tonight. Yeah, 5 o'clock, we'll get to see LSU Hoops back on the floor tonight. Very much looking forward to that. Tigers are a 7.5-point favorite over Georgia Tech. That game is at State Farm Arena. That's where the Hawks play. So they get to go play in an NBA arena, which is really cool. That's sort of like holiday hoops giving thing, whatever they're calling it. So Tigers haven't played in 10 days. So had some time off for finals. They are ranked now, 25th in one poll, 24th in the other. Good opportunity to go on the road, play in a different venue, play a Power 5 opponent, and really counting down our the pre-conference opportunities now. I mean, you got Georgia Tech today, then you play Northwestern State, Louisiana Tech, Lipscomb, and then on the 29th, so after Christmas, you're into conference play. So, I mean, in less than 2 weeks, you're into conference play. So, or I guess it's a little more than 2 weeks. You play Auburn on the 29th. So, Today's the 11th, so 18 days. So getting there, man. We're getting there. Is basketball on TV today? Yeah. Well, I mean, all the games are on TV, of course. But yeah, they're playing on ESPN2 at 5 o'clock. Michael Blevins, good morning. Brian A. Pent, why don't the SWAC play in the playoffs? My understanding of that, Brian, is because of like the Bayou Classic, and like the way their championship game works and all that stuff. That's why they don't play in the FCS playoffs. Unless if someone has some other context that I don't know. Merritt Bethune, like it's more of a financial windfall for them to hold the Bayou Classic and on its standalone on TV and all that sort of stuff, and have their conference championship game than to be in the playoffs. Merritt Bethune, good morning. Ben Giat, not sure if I missed it to discuss Kelly meeting with Brennan. I don't really know much of it to say, Ben. I mean, and I know Nebraska had an in-home with him this week. It would be great if he stayed. But I also understand if he walks. There's some people who are adamant that he's not coming back. But I'll say never type thing, even if it's a low percentage. I'm sorry, that's really vague. I wish I had more for you. I just don't. Paul Batts, seems like Napier's trying too hard to create LSU at Florida. Programs are similar with resources, recruiting path to the Natty. Napier has to land Florida guys if he wants to turn the ship. Yeah, I mean, not necessarily, Paul. I mean, yes, of course. But there's enough players in that state, Florida, Miami, and Florida State, that there's plenty for all. But Florida's always reached outside of its state and gotten guys too. So they'll get their share of both. Scott Fields, good morning. Travis Laurent, did Terrio push his cart back to the cart return? He will now. Paul Batts, go Navy. Granddad was a Navy Special Ops officer in World War II. Served as a CB in Japan afterwards. Go Navy. Right, I mean, there you go. Army uniforms always deliver. The Navy uniforms today have serious strip. I need to check them out. I'm way more traditional in that respect than what they've sort of done with the newfangled uniforms. Let me see. And let's see the uniforms. All right, let's see. Okay, I like the Navy all blues. Those are clean. That's sharp. Helmet's fantastic, like the Top Gun looking helmet. Heck yeah, man. I'm down with that. Army has sort of the Desert Storm look today. All right. I'm down with it. I mean, certainly not traditional. But if you're going to change it up, I could be down with that. Maurice Nadeau, good morning, love. AFR and Morning Scone. Thank you so much, Maurice. It's very kind. Maybe you and everyone watching, the 131 watching, can smash that like button. I appreciate y'all. Let's see. Assuming LSU hasn't reached its bottom in terms of transfers and transfers out of the program, how do you think Kelly will heavily utilize the transfer portal? Yeah, like they're going to. So I've said this a couple times now, and some of you are taking offense to it. They are going to lose more players to transfer. There are going to be bowl opt-outs, and there are going to be players that are academically ineligible for the bowl game. Like, I am certain of all of that. Some of you are taking offense to when I say that, apparently. But that's coming from people in the program. Like, there's going to be more transfers, there's going to be bowl opt-outs, and there's going to be players that are academically ineligible. Paul Batts, Homer playing in one. Oh, you're asking, sorry. I see Florida's top wide receiver and outside linebacker in the transfer portal. I did, Diabate. But, that proves the point that I made whenever there was this melt over Max Johnson leaving earlier this week. No matter the coach, no matter the program, every single time there's a coaching change, there are transfers. Always. You lose commits, you lose players that transfer. Like, Brian Kelly's no different. Billy Napier's no different. Nick Saban would be no different. It's just, every time you have a coaching change, you lose. There is turnover. Always. There's always attrition. So, yeah, man. I mean, that's not surprising. If he wants to play another year of college football, go get him. LSU needs linebackers. Come on. Michael Blevins, Matt, what do you think about Harold Perkins, Jacoby Matthews? Wait until February. That will help LSU get one or both. Yes. I'll tell you this. If I'm very, very confident saying this. If Mickey Joseph were still on staff, they would get Jacoby Matthews. I'm not saying that LSU's out. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying if Mickey were here, it would be done. I still think they're going to get it done with Jacoby Matthews. I know they feel good about Perkins also, and Quincy Wiggins, who I think is announcing next week. Quincy Wiggins, the defensive lineman from Madison Prep. I think they feel really good about him too. So they're going to get, this is a big weekend. Get these guys on campus, give them to meet the staff, the new members of staff, kind of get a feel for how things are going to be different. And if they're comfortable, yeah, come on. Damon Hinderberger, riding with my brother Sean Hinderberger, go Navy beat Army, okay. Timbo Slice, what's going on? Logan Elrod, what up? Alex Barnes, any chance LSU goes after Jason Garrett? I'm going to go ahead and say no. Smile Factory, good morning. Go Army, all right. USMC Mike, good morning from North Carolina. Go Navy, yes, sir. Brett Dagros, Scone, did Dwayne from Thibodeau bring your $500? No, he didn't. Are you surprised that coward didn't bring me my money? It's been 3 years. Stuart Boudreau, you must love the Penn State unis. No, I don't, actually. There's a difference between traditional and boring. LSU's gold, white, gold is a traditional look. Not boring. It's beautiful. Penn State is boring. Alabama's are boring. Michigan, traditional, not boring. I mean, the winged helmet, the blue jersey, the gold pants, traditional, not boring. Beautiful, right? Big difference. Tim C. Morning, Matt. You think Andre Carter is going to stick around as D-line coach? I don't know, Tim, and I'll tell you this. It's really hard when you fire a coach and you pay out his staff. It's really hard when you pay a coach $17 million to go away to turn around and say, okay, we're going to keep half the guys that you brought in here. If Brian Kelly is trying to change the culture at LSU, and that goes beyond just. Hang on 1 second, y'all. Sorry. Hang on 1 second. My apologies, y'all. Sorry about that. Little interlude. Drew's backpack just beeping. He's still in bed. Okay. Where are we? Jump back over here to Facebook for a bit. Adam Duce, good morning. What whiskey would you recommend for the fight tonight? Time to change it up. What do you like? Tell me what you've been drinking, what you like. Shelby Kelly wanted to go back to one big signing day in February. Well, in fact, he said the signing day broadcasts were awesome. Well, here's the thing, Shelby. The February signing day is better for everyone but the players. Because inevitably, you always have guys that end up left out in the cold. It's like musical chairs. And what the December signing period does is it makes coaches commit to players and players commit to teams, basically. If a player's committed and wants to sign in December and the coach says, hey, why don't you hold off? Well, now that player knows I got 2 months to look around because I may not be here. It's different when February rolls around and on signing day or the week of signing day, they say, hey, we don't have a spot for you. Sorry, you've been committed for the last year, but we don't have a spot for you. And now they're scrambling to find some place to play when everyone else's class is already filled up. So I'm for it, man. As much, it makes it much more difficult, but it's better for the player. Rivers Breedlove, USMC here. Go Navy. There you go, Rivers. Thank you for your service. Lee Allen, Navy had dress blues last year. They were awesome. Gotcha. Yeah, Mark, the Saints re-signed Kenny Stills. Well, with Deontay Harris being suspended, they re-signed Kenny Stills. Lee Allen, go Navy. Ryan Dixon, like that RC showed the personal side of coaching, gave good perspective. Initial comment was inappropriate. He has to do a better job on his platform to unite. I mean, Ryan, it's not his job to do that, honestly. It's his job to give opinions, and he did. I told him point blank, I said, look, everything that you said last week, I mean, I agree with all of it because most of it's fact, but when you said old white guy, it just put up a wall for so many people. They never heard anything beyond that. But yeah, live and learn. Todd Harris, when will you release your new podcast, Missing Locked On? Thank you, Todd. I appreciate you asking. It'll be as soon as the new Locked On LSU host gets up and rolling, then I'll start our new one. Give me till after Christmas. Maybe the first of the year, honestly. Because now I'm looking at it going, I'm actually taking the week off the week after Christmas, so I don't want to start it for a week and then stop it. It'll come soon. Jeremy Kling, good morning. Mickey Joe Underwood, go Navy beat Army. Wife's grandpop was a gunner on a destroyer at invasion of Sicily. All right. Look at that, man. Incredible. Travis Roy, good morning. What's up, Travis Roy? Army uniforms paying homage to Afghan 12-strong soldiers. Navy's tribute to the Blue Angels. Yeah, the Blue Angels, those are pretty cool. I do like them. Justin McVicker, you think the coldest recommit was decision or BK's? I guess it's a decommit. I think there's a pretty good chance he goes and follows Mickey Joseph. And also there was a pretty good chance he wasn't going to stay in this class. So I'm mostly bummed up. We won't get to say DeColdest Crawford for the next 4 years, but maybe a little bit of a mutual thing. Jeremy Brinkmeyer, sorry if I missed it, but Mike D said that Kelly let Corey Raymond go because of performance. Is that true? Partly. I mean, but that's Brian Kelly's prerogative, right? To bring in who he wants. But I'll tell you this, like, and again, some people will push back on this, but Corey Raymond said he never met with Brian Kelly. It wasn't like there was this formal sit down to say, we're going to let you go. Never heard from him. Billy Napier offered him $850, and he got the title like associate head coach of the defense. And so he took it. Blaine Smith, what's up? Blake DeVilliers. Why is it quiet on the OC and DC search? Potentially, Blake. You may have coaches that are still coaching, and while that may not come out publicly, maybe they could if you feel like you could tell recruits what's going on. Dan Mullen joined Saban staff as an analyst yet, or could he be an OC candidate here? Yeah, Jordan, I don't think so, man. I think Dan Mullen's a great play caller, and I wouldn't be opposed to that. If Dan Mullen wants to be a head coach, he'll get an opportunity because as that coaching carousel spins, more jobs come open. So, it's a curious one. It's a big name that's out there to see what's next. He may even want to take a year off and then jump back in as a head coach next year when the carousel spins. Richard Kahn, good morning. Brian Kelly can get us some Midwest O-linemen. Jason Gonzalez, do you think any of the young running backs may be transferring? Well, you're losing Ty Davis Price to the draft. That much I'm certain of, and that's been known for a while. He's got a young daughter, and he's just ready to go start his pro career. So, thankfully for him, he had a really good second half of the season. I still don't know if he gets picked. He's probably an undrafted guy. But you're going to lose Ty Davis Price, which opens the door for the younger guys. Goodwin was hurt for the bulk of this season. Kiner got some run. Will be interesting to see him if he takes a step. The bigger questions I think probably around Trey Bradford and John Emery to see what they do. Bradford left and came back, so he can't transfer again, right? I mean, he's used his immediate eligibility transfer, and so I would assume he's staying unless he goes to a lower level. And then Emery is a curious case because he's the one with the biggest upside, right? But it just hasn't manifest in his 3 years in college. So what does he do? Does he just go pro as an undrafted guy and try to get on a team somewhere? Try to make a roster and start playing pro ball? Or does he try to play a year of college football as a lead dog and, try to make some money? But the reality is if you're an undrafted guy or you're a fourth round pick, the money ain't that different. It's really not. So, I mean, your odds of making the team are greater because they've invested a draft pick in you, but the money's not much different. Let's see who's the front runner for LSU football quarterback QB1 in 2022. Well, right now you'd have to say Garrett Nussmeier. I mean, he's the only scholarship quarterback on the roster. You'd have to say Nussmeier. I do think they will bring in a transfer quarterback, though. Sugar Bowl matchup is good. Aranda against Kiffin. And you probably got a really good chance of guys playing in that game and not opting out, right? Like Notre Dame's already had, like the Fiesta Bowl, Notre Dame's already had some guys opt out. The safety, the All-American safety, number 14, big tall kid, he opted out. The running back, 23, opted out already. So, they're not going to be whole. I think with Bama or with Ole Miss and Baylor, you're probably going to have all those guys play. You'll see about Jerrion Ealy. Jerrion Ealy's going to declare for the draft. We'll see if he plays in the bowl game. Matt Corral is playing, so that's huge. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Let's see. Nuss and Walker will be even. A veteran quarterback from the portal will also have an opportunity to start. I mean, I've told you all this before. I'll say it again. I know. I don't think he would mind me say, but I think Jamie Howard would like for Walker to be able to redshirt. Sometimes that's not in the cards, but I think they'd like for him. That makes sense. Like they would like for him to sit and watch and grow physically and grow into the game and all. Yeah, it's. So I guess my point is, if you're worried, like, oh, would Walker Howard stay if he didn't play next year? Yeah, yes. Jesse Bergeron, Dustin Poirier, yes indeed. Looking forward to that tonight. Donnie Wright, I love the Big Lebowski avatar, by the way. Just as important that Kelly sells his philosophy, plans, culture on the recruiting trail. Yeah, but not really, Donnie. And this is why. Let me clarify. Every player that signs with LSU, everyone, has NFL ambitions. Every single one of them. If you're good enough to play at LSU, you have NFL ambitions. Okay? Every one of them. You have to tell them how you're going to get them to the NFL. And that's not philosophy and culture and all that stuff. That's one thing that may make people feel comfortable around your program, but you have to have a plan for that player of how you're going to get them to the NFL. Like, it's traditionally been very hard for LSU to recruit elite quarterbacks because before Joe Burrow, there was no evidence at all that LSU could get elite quarterbacks to the NFL. You know what I mean? Doesn't matter what you sold them on culture and all that crap. Like, you got to have a plan for them. That's important. I mean, that's what Keishawn Butte is weighing right now. You know, I mean, he's going into his draft year. He doesn't know who his OC is going to be and who's he going to be catching passes from. I mean, that's a big deal to that kid. Think Aggies lose recruits with the DC and strength coach leaving? Yes. Maybe not as many as if it were the head coach, but there are usually recruits tied to specific coaches, and if those coaches leave, yeah. And Mike Elko would be silly to try not to flip some of those guys to go with him to Duke. Now, I don't know that you're flipping guys from A&M to Duke, but could he snag some that he's met across the recruiting trail? Maybe. Brand Roban, good morning. Do you think Kelly's current position is extremely difficult, mild, or easy based on decommits, coaching search, getting the program on solid ground? Oh, it's difficult. Yeah, it's very difficult because he's inherited a mess. The mess that I've told y'all has been festering for 5 years. And you're seeing it now, right? But the good news for Brian Kelly is he gets to put LSU on his chest, right? He has the resources of paying a staff collectively $8-10 million. You know, I'll tell you the other thing. This is the other thing I noticed this weekend, y'all. If you're looking at pictures from the recruiting trail, so Brian Kelly went to Catholic High. Yeah. Hey, buddy. Morning, Drew. Good morning, Drew. Good morning, Drew. Hey, babe. Good morning. So Brian Kelly was at Catholic High. He was at Lafayette Christian. He was in Shreveport. And where else did he go? Anyway, point is, Brian Kelly was able, he probably flew to Shreveport, but could have driven a couple miles to Catholic High and then just over the basin to Lafayette Christian to see commits and some of the top players in the country. You can't do that at Notre Dame. You have to get on a plane and fly to Florida and fly to Louisiana and fly to North Carolina and fly to California and fly to Ohio. You see what I mean? Like, he had commits in 18 different states in his Notre Dame class. Like, I mean, now he just drive to Louisiana to be home for dinner every night. Biggest difference, man. That's why, like, yeah, he's got a tough job, but that's the appeal of LSU. It's a brand of LSU. Did Kelly recruit? It's a good question. Excuse me. So Corey Kiner is from Ohio. Let's see if he had a Notre Dame offer. I don't remember. Let's see. Corey Kiner. He did have an offer. They offered him September the 29th. Notre Dame did offer. Ohio State, Arkansas, Minnesota, Louisville, Michigan, Tennessee, Wisconsin, Penn State, Cincinnati, Kentucky. So he had a bunch, yeah. He had a Notre Dame offer. Let's see. Back to YouTube here. By the way, as always, Orthopedic Clinic. After Hours Clinic is open today. It's a Saturday, so twist your ankle or throw out your shoulder, you need a doctor, you bypass the ER, go see Brock. And, of course, Hudco Roofing. HudcoRoofing.com. Tell you every day, do business with someone you know. Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com. We have materials. We have crews. We're ready to rock. You may have your insurance paperwork. Like, you may have your work from your insurance company approving your roof replacement. You're like, well, what do I do now? Well, you call us. If you have that, all you have to do is pick out a shingle color, boom, and we are roofing. So let's roll. HudcoRoofing.com. HudcoRoofing.com. Morning from Logan Sport. Logan Sport's playing for 1A state title at noon. All right, Joey Johnson. Good luck to Logan Sport. I think I read that one already. Sorry. I'm trying to catch up here. Stuart Boudreau, how much will NIL money affect recruiting? If you're doing it right, it shouldn't affect it much at all, to the negative. C-Trey193, what's up with the Kayshawn rumors? I've addressed that for more than a week now. He is considering his options because he's in his draft year. He's not sure who his OC is going to be or who he's going to catch passes from. And he just watched Jamison Williams in Alabama go from being buried on the depth chart at Ohio State to the #1 receiver at Alabama, who might be the first receiver taken. You're talking about a decision that's going to affect tens of millions of dollars. So they got to, it's not saying he's gone, but they got to answer those questions. NIL affecting recruiting, go ask the Texas Longhorns O-line. Okay, then play ball. Scott Fields, the team was a mess. All these changes are to clean up things. Need to get used to it. It's hopefully the future of LSU football. Amen, Scott. Let's see, Danny Braywick, go Ponchatoula, going for their first title since 1940. That's cool. And I think, from what I understand, there's 3 guys in the Ponchatoula team that likely to end up at LSU. It's Matthews, Bryce Johnson, anyway, he's a 3-star. I think he plays running back, but they're going to play him at linebacker at LSU. They said he's basically Devin White. He's 250 or 235, whatever, running back, runs a legit like 4.5. I mean, he will be a linebacker. Braden Johnson, thank you. But suppose they're going to offer him and get him. There's another one too. I don't know who the other one is. Receiver, maybe? Who am I missing? I was told there's 3 from Ponchatoula that are likely all coming. Would you prefer Pete Golding or Jim Leonard? Probably Leonard for the experience. Golding, you flip a coin. I think you do great with either. Probably Leonard. Paul Batts, think some of the LSU fans perceive it as implied criticism from you, Scone. You're just applying context, providing honest perspective. Groupthink, echo chamber effect from the natives. Happens. Could LSU get Miles Brennan to QB the Bowl if he isn't enrolled somewhere else? Could they? Yes, Savannah. Like, he could rejoin the team as long as he's still enrolled at LSU like he was this semester. So could he? Yes. But he hadn't played all year. I don't know if he goes out cold and plays in the bowl game. John K., how much time does Kelly have to turn it around? A decade. They are financially tied to him for 10 years. His buyout is 90% of his remaining contract. So, I mean, they are financially tied to him for the next 10 years. Ivan Salazar, it's funny, but I don't remember Bryce Young's recruitment being anything out of the ordinary. Saban managed to identify Young with such unique talent from California. I mean, he was a 5-star. I mean, he was like the #1 quarterback in the country. Saban didn't identify anything. Everyone did. Be nice if we can add former 5-star safety B.J. Foster from Texas. Come on down. Tukey, Mello, and Daddy TV. Matt, heard Kayshawn Butte is waiting until after early signing day to commit to Bama because they don't want to lose recruits. If true, shows how much he loves the program. Wow, if true. We'll see about the wow or the if true. They have to re-recruit him, there's no doubt. I mean, I've told you that for a week now. Stuart Boudreaux, good morning. Like Drew, I like the purple jerseys. Yeah, I don't know why he's got a purple one on that. Gulf South, 100% for having 2 signing days. Push the first one back to January 5th or 10th, maybe. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. It's like after the playoff. How many losses do you see LSU having in basketball this season? I'm going to say they go... I'm going to put the over-under at 13.5 in league play wins. So 14-4, 13-5 right in there, and I think that's going to win them the league to do. Let's see, Orange Bloods is shoveling out money to Orange players. Rich Texas donors are essentially using Orange Bloods as glorified money laundering. It's not money laundering. It's legal. Money laundering is illegal. This is legal. How are Butte and Bradford doing injury-wise? Butte looked good yesterday. If you look up on Twitter, sorry. If you check on Twitter, there was a this picture of Butte yesterday at the Westgate game looked good. Are you sure Anthony Bradford was injured? Did you ever find out what his injury was? I mean, we know he was out for the season, but are we sure he was injured? I never saw anything about an injury. Did you? Or did we assume that he was injured? Just asking the question. Richard Higginbottom. Nice to finally catch a live show. UK times. I'm either asleep or working. With Texas A&M DC going to Duke, do you feel their class will take a hit? Not as big as if it was a head coach. Might they lose a player or two? Sure. Boy, they're loading up right now, aren't they? Kevin Boudreaux, Texas is going to get themselves an investigation where they're handing out money through boosters. No, they're not, Kevin, because it's legal through NIL. The players just have to perform some type of marketing service for the company. Did Corey actually leave due to recruiting violations at LSU? No. Eric Abair, my issue is it is not Brian Kelly's fault. He's no white guy nor the players. RK gets butthurt and attacks the program. Smart dude. No. It's hard to take you seriously when you say butthurt and attacks the program, which you didn't do. I mean, he said he wanted to hire Billy Napier. Like, that's what's lost. Like, the point that he was making was Scott Woodward gets paid a lot of money, has to hire the best coach. That's what he did. And said last week, point blank, that there aren't a lot of minority coaches that are super qualified, if that's what you're looking for, which is true. And that the problem is actually getting that first opportunity, which I would agree with. Anyway. Let's see, early signing period sucks. Worst time of the year with coaching changes, becoming more fluid within the Power 5. Move back to February, possibly August. If you want to move it off December, fine, but I'm for having 2 signing periods. Every other sport has them. Brett Dagro, Corey was a great recruiter and average coach on the field. Oh, I disagree with that. I disagree with that completely. Do you feel Dustin Diamond Poirier pull out the victory? I do, Dave. He's actually favored. He's a slight favorite in the fight tonight. Savannah Lewis, could Miles Brennan quarterback? Oh, sorry, I read that one already. I think Emory goes pro if he's undrafted. Michael B, remember, you can't withdraw from once you're in and it's past the deadline, you're in. You can't wait till after the draft to make your decision. It's not like baseball. Like, you have to decide. Charles Oliveira will win tonight. I hate picking against Louisiana, but it is what it is. We'll see, Micah. I kind of like. I think Oliveira's a problem, but Poirier's favored in this fight, man. Don't forget that. If he can keep it on the feet, Poirier is an elite enough striker that he can finish this fight. Let's see. Paul Batts, Corey wasn't as good a coach as Ron Cooper. In my opinion, Corey's better at branding LSU DBU. Paul, I have a question. How many days were you out at practice to see how they coached? I will tell you, fundamentally, you're dead wrong. Ron Cooper was a good recruiter. Ron Cooper was a terrible secondaries coach. Like, that much was known. That's why they fired him, despite the fact that he was a good recruiter. That's pulling something out of your ASS. Like, that is nothing but, right now what's happening, y'all dogging Corey, is nothing but LSU fans making yourself feel better. It's the same thing fans do on signing day. Any player that doesn't pick your school, oh, he's overrated, he's a bum. The 3-star you sign is going to be the hidden gem that's going to be an All-American. That's where y'all are right now up in your feelings. If you're actually going to try to tell me that Corey Raymond is not a good defensive backs coach, you're high. That's stupid. That is like, to watch the development of so many of these players. Like, look at Dwight McGlothern. Look at Cordell Flott. I mean, give me a break, y'all. Anyway. No, come on. Let's see. Heard Frank went to talk to Aaron Anderson at the beginning of the week. Sounds like we can't get him back. Yeah, that's fine. He was a 50-50 commit anyway. I'm not worried about LSU with receivers, y'all. That's one position where I go, all right. I mean, if it was stud left tackle, like if it was Will Campbell, I'd be super bummed. Aaron Anderson, like, LSU's got receivers. They've always had receivers. They'll always have receivers. Louisiana produces a ton of great athletes. Like, they'll have receivers. Any chance LSU can't play in the bowl game because of opt-outs, grades, and injuries? I mean, Merrick, I've said that now for a few days, and some of y'all get all up in your feelings and think that I'm just making stuff up to crap on LSU, but I'm telling you that is a question that is being asked at LSU right now. Are they going to get into a spot where they don't have enough players for a bowl game? Like, some of y'all think I make stuff up sometimes. Like, I say this all. Like, y'all think I just make stuff up to talk about it. Like, there's an origin of all of it. And, yeah, if you look at the numbers right now, they're below 60. And last year with COVID, the minimum was 53. I'm not saying they have to hold themselves to that standard, but I'm telling you, you're going to have more transfers. You're going to have bowl opt-outs, and you're going to have players that are academically ineligible. I'm telling you, all three of those are going to happen between now and the bowl game. Paul, if you said it's just an opinion, I'm telling you, if your opinion is that Ron Cooper was a better technical defensive backs coach than Corey Raymond, you do not know at all what you're talking about. I mean, respect to you, man. I know you watch a lot of this stuff, but I'm just telling you, like, Ron Cooper was not a good defensive backs coach. Same thing with Larry Porter. Like, Larry Porter was a guy that was on staff because he was a great recruiter. He was a terrible on-field coach. That's the reputation Mickey Joseph had. And it's not Mickey's fault. He worked very hard, but Mickey had never coached receivers. He was on staff to recruit. Corey Raymond is an elite secondaries coach. Like, that's not even debatable. Like, it's just not. It's not debatable. Like, if you're saying that that Ron Cooper was a better coach than Corey Raymond, like, you're just in your feelings trying to make yourself feel better about that guy leaving. Here's the truth. Louisiana has always produced elite skill positions. So a lot of y'all are saying, hey, well, look in the 90s with Cedric Donaldson and Ryan Clark and even into the early 2000s, Corey Webster, Travis Daniels. Wasn't from here, but anyway. But yes, Louisiana's always produced great athletes, great skill athletes. LSU will always have running backs, cornerbacks, receivers. Always. Always, 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 always. Louisiana does not produce a lot of elite offensive linemen and quarterbacks. That's where we've been very deficient as a state. There have been good linebackers in the state. There have been really good defensive linemen in the state. The two spots are quarterback and offensive line. That's where LSU's had to cast a wide net. Occasionally you have a guy from Louisiana like an Andrew Whitworth, like a Will Campbell, but by and large, you got to go to Michigan to get Garrett Delling. You got to go to Michigan to get Joseph Barksdale. Hell, I'm even trying to think of who have been elite linemen that they've gotten. You got to go to Illinois to get Ethan Posick. You got to go JUCO to get Damian Lewis. You know what I mean? Like, the state doesn't produce a ton of great linemen or quarterbacks. The quarterback thing is interesting because now you're seeing this sort of change where, well, you got Walker Howard and you got Arch Manning and you got Eli Holstein. You know, you get the kid at Woodlawn, who's committed to Purdue. Anyway, point is, like, the state is starting to come around here in the last few years, but they've always had skill guys. So LSU's always going to have defensive backs. Louisiana's always going to produce DBs. But that margin of being able to go to Pompano Beach and get Patrick Peterson or go to Dallas and get Jamal Adams and keep that player away from Bama or Texas or, you know what I mean? Like, win that recruiting battle, or Florida. Like, that's the margin where Corey was fantastic. Like, he was very good at closing on those elite guys that wanted to come play for him and DBU and how they built all that. And he's technically a very good defensive backs coach. So anyway, I'm not saying, please don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying with Corey gone, LSU's never going to get defensive backs again. Of course they are. It's LSU. It's Louisiana. The state produces a ton of them. They're going to be fine. Like, I'm not saying that. I'm also saying that it is naive to assume that Corey Raymond is not going to get guys to Florida, because he is. Jeremy Brinkmeyer, sorry if you talked about it. Why is Max leaving? I have talked about it, and I'll talk about it again. But again, a lot of people get up in their feelings when I say this because it goes back to a lot of the issues with Ogeron. The last 2 years have been awful. LSU's been a poop show the last 2 years since Max Johnson's been here. Started with COVID, of course, which was nobody's fault, but how they handled that and then all the racial stuff last year was super divisive. For Max now, whoever's here will be his third OC in 3 years. He doesn't know who it's going to be. Last year's offensive operation was a complete disaster. How many times did you see Max Johnson on the field, like, doing this, like, get me a play, hurry up? All the things that we complained about with Jake Peets. Like, what do you think if you're the quarterback? The offensive line was brutal, got him killed. And then I think the 1,000 pounds of bricks that broke the camel's back was the Nussmeier thing, when they benched Max after 2 series against Arkansas just to give it a shot. I mean, it basically said, we think you're our problem to Max Johnson, when he wasn't a problem. The problem was you had a crappy offensive line, you had no offensive system, you had a green play caller, and Max is out there, throws 20-whatever touchdown passes and 3 picks, and at that point, they were done. They were checked out. So, anyway. That's why. So you're going to go get a fresh start. Jan Barrio, good morning. Mark Dubé, where did the Manning kid commit? He hasn't committed yet. But as I understand it today, it's Texas, Clemson, Bama, or S3. But I'll tell you an interesting one. You're about to find out all you need to know about Dabo. Like, Dabo's had a heck of a run over the last 10 years. But before this 10-year run, remember Clemsoning was a thing? You know, Dabo's first double-digit win season at Clemson was 2011. That was the first year that he had, Brent Venables on staff. Before Brent Venables showed up at Clemson, here's Dabo's win-loss. 4-3, he was an interim. 9-5, 6-7. That was Dabo's first 3 years. 4-3, 9-5, 6-7. He gets Brent Venables. Here's their win since. 10, 11, 11, 10, 14, 14, 12, 15, 14, 10, 9-3. This was his first year. And they win the bowl game, they'll get to double-digit wins. He will have won double-digit games every year since Brent Venables will be there. Venables gone, and they just lost Tony Elliott, their OC. He's got to replace both coordinators. Let's see you. What you got? Because Dabo is Ogeron. He's a guy who's, the CEO doesn't have a specialty on either side of the ball, but he has had stability at that coordinator spot. Like, imagine if Dave Aranda was at LSU for a decade, right? Ogeron might still be the coach. I think it would be the coach. Has Damone made a decision about the bowl game? I have not heard if he has yet. Robert Williams, what up? Jesse Bergeron. Discuss the Saints wide receiver situation, especially around Michael Thomas. Trade or retain, attracting one of the top 3 quarterbacks. Which QB1 is more realistic for 2022? Well, Rodgers most certainly will not be in Green Bay next year, the way they structured his contract. Would he pick New Orleans is a good question. Play in the South. You come in a division with Tom Brady, but you can play in a dome. Provided Michael Thomas is back, you'd have a number 1 receiver. You'd have Alvin Kamara. You'd have an awesome offensive line. You have one of the best play callers ever in Sean Payton. That makes a lot of sense. I mean, Rodgers really does. We'll see if Russ opts out in Seattle. We know he would be a possibility. Watson's tough because of what you would have to give up for him. He would have the longest term potential, but you got to get him cleared, legally. And then you'd have to be willing to give up a haul, multiple ones, players, starting caliber players. I mean, that's a long-term play. If you're in win now mode, you almost go Rodgers. TK Brown, Matt, how long do you think Brian Kelly turns the program around to be a contender again? I think depending on how they finish this roster, this recruiting class, I think they could be a New Year's Six team next year. I mean, LSU was a New Year's Six team at 9-3 in 2018. I think they could easily be 9-3 and in the New Year's Six next year. And then depending on how they develop the quarterback position, 2023, you could be a playoff team. Is LSU basketball out of the woods with the NCAA? No, it's at the IAWP, the independent panel is overseeing the case right now. Brant Roban, Matt, had a major storm blow through, tons of shingles on the ground. You guys make it up here to Knoxville. Unfortunately, Brant, HUDCO will not make it to Knoxville. But if anyone had any damage due to Ida or the storms earlier this week, HUDCO Roofing, HUDCOroofing.com. Adam, do you say, Matt, I normally drink Crown, Jameson, or Johnny? Okay. Elijah Craig small batch, $27. That'll be a full-bodied, bold bourbon. Basil Hayden, $25. Milder, going to be more like your Crown there. And then Sazerac rye. It's a rye, neat, rocks, or in a cocktail, fantastic. Ryes tend to be spicier. You can find it for under $30, depending on where you go. You can find it for $23, depending on where you go. Right. Jacob Picard, buzz around Miles staying. Any word on that? No word. I saw the same Instagram post everybody else did. Steve Blanchard, we need We need a tell-all book from Woodward on these coaching hires the past couple of years. Can you make that happen? A book, probably not. But what happens is in time, when you get further removed, then you start to you hear those stories. I'll do the radio interview. I'll do the hour-long sit-down radio interview with him. Jonathan O'Neill, if Brennan stays, Keyshawn stays? Not necessarily. Dan Bergeron, good morning, Matt. Got a bottle of Blanton's yesterday. Good on you. Good on you. Enjoy that. Nick Bradley Hole, good morning, Matt. Where can we buy Matt Moscona merch? I don't think there's any Matt Moscona merch. They've toyed with the idea of doing like show merch stores, like for all of our shows and ESPN, all that sort of stuff. Maybe we'll do that. I don't know. LSU defensive secondary stats over the last 2 years don't lie. It was time for a change. Yeah, Dale, that's really fundamentally not a smart thing. I mean, in 2020, LSU's problem was not its secondary. LSU's problem was Bo Pelini. Come on, man. Like, when you're playing Mississippi State and you keep playing man coverage on the outside instead of zone, which everybody knows is what you do, again, come on, man. That's... Kyle Acock, Matt, with all the transfers, how many transfers can LSU add from the portal? I mean, LSU's secondary, Dale, looked okay against Alabama, and the team that just hung 40 on Georgia, the best defense we've ever seen, right? Come on. Matthew Kane, good morning. You're right. Yep. Kevin Mawai was a Leesville Wampus cat. Military guy, though. Military family. You said Corey went and got Patrick Peterson. Corey wasn't here when Patrick Peterson was here. Corey, my point is, LSU, I said Corey has been able to close on big-name prospects outside of Louisiana. Elias Ricks in California. You go to Dallas and get Jamal Adams. You can go to Texas and get Jalen Mills, or Mississippi and get Jalen Collins. You could go get Dwight McGlothern. I mean, you're always going to get Louisiana kids. That's my point. You're always going to get Louisiana kids. Maybe not every single one of them, but enough of them. There's enough in the state. They'll always produce. But the key is being able to go outside of Louisiana to get the 5-star, the high 4-star, that you're in the mix with Florida, Ohio State, Bama. Can you close on that guy? And Corey's done that better than anybody. Why are we still harping over the last 2 years? It's time to move forward. I'm with you. Dabo without Venables, Watson, or Lawrence is an average coach. We'll see, Dale. I mean, that's the question he's got to answer, right? I mean, how are we about to learn what Dabo is, right? Let's see, Keem Williams, DC is more important than a DB coach. Our DBs look trash under Pelini, then got better under Durante's system. The defense as a whole looked like trash. Jay Ward looked pretty good as a freshman last year. Elias Ricks was a freshman All-America last year, right? The DBs didn't look like trash. The defense as a whole looked like trash. Jason Souls, Bubba Tatum from the Crayola experience in Orlando. Chaperoning 18 girls from 6 to 9 years old in age. Pray for me and send me whiskey. Amen, Bubba. Good luck to you, man. Travis Young, Ronnie Dugas, Patrick McKenzie. Heard anything about OC or DC? Yeah, I mean, Patrick, I've heard some stuff. I don't know how much of it is legitimate at this point. They're keeping it pretty close to the vest. Leads me to believe that Kelly probably has his guy or guys in mind, and maybe coaches that are still coaching, so we'll find out soon enough. Let's get back to the big and nasty on the D and O lines. LSU always hard to play, punch dudes in the face. There's, Mike D said this for a lot of years when he was here, when he would come on the show. People would always call LSU DBU, and he's like, no, LSU's D-line U. LSU had a run, the longest run in the country, of years, consecutive years with a defensive lineman drafted. And they've gotten away from that. There's no doubt, man. On the interior lines, LSU's gotten away from that. Even when LSU had really good offensive lines, with those run-heavy teams with less, they didn't have a lot of guys that were drafted or highly drafted. And that's the tough part, because Louisiana doesn't produce a ton of elite offensive linemen. That's why when Cam Robinson goes to Bama, it really stings, right? That's why when Cedric Van Pran goes to Georgia, it stings, because your state doesn't produce a ton of them. And so when you do produce an elite one, and you not only do you not get him, but you lose him to an in-conference foe, that sucks. It sucks a lot. 243 watching on YouTube. That's awesome. Only 80 likes. Please take just a quick second, smash the like button. If you're on mobile, it's the thumbs up. If you see live chat, just X out of the live chat. You'll see the like button. Hit the thumbs up. Then just tap live chat again, and the comments will come right back. So if you would just take a quick second, that helps with all the YouTube algorithm stuff and how it shows this video to other people. So I know I say that a lot, but I do appreciate it very much. And if you're new, subscribe to the channel as well. By the way, let me post this in here, because a lot of y'all watching on Facebook, I'm sure you have YouTube as well, just so y'all can go like and subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. There it is. All right, I just posted the YouTube link in Facebook, so if y'all are watching on Facebook, you can see it there as well. Let's see. Let's see. Paul Batts, I guess Aranda was wrong too on Raymond. I will agree with you on its face. Not, I'm trying to feel better. I said since Eddie O's days were numbered, Corey has to be a lock. I am bummed. Aranda liked Corey Raymond. Aranda wanted two coaches in the secondary because he didn't feel like one could communicate his message in the secondary. That was Aranda's thing. It wasn't that Aranda didn't like Corey or thought Corey wasn't a good coach. He wanted two coaches in the secondary. That was Dave's preference. That might be Brian Kelly's preference as well to have that. We'll see. But again, you need to stop spinning a narrative, spinning facts to fit a narrative that you want. Corey Raymond's a great coach. He's a great defensive backs coach, technically. He's a great recruiter. And it will hurt losing him. That doesn't mean, but again, I'll continue saying this because this is the part I think most of you miss. LSU's going to be fine. LSU's going to hire somebody. They're going to get great talent. They're going to sign 5 stars. They're going to keep getting defensive backs. There's kids from Louisiana who have always only wanted to play at LSU and will keep coming to LSU. I don't know much about Kerry Cooks, the new DB's coach, but he's sort of a Midwestern guy. They'll go get good players. He played in the NFL. They'll go get good players. They're going to be fine. And I'm okay with Brian Kelly doing whatever he wants on his staff. I'm fine with it. All I'm saying is Corey's a great defensive backs coach with a great reputation who can recruit his ass off. He's going to be motivated. He's going to Florida. He's going to get kids to Florida. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. If you don't think that's going to happen, that's naive. That's all I'm saying. There. Moving on. Let's see. Tony Janusa, what's up? Trey Beatty, for my sanity, going to crawl under a rock until after signing day. Did not see the roller coaster football news. Probably smart, but it's fun though. Blake Estes, Andy Whitaker, Scarborough saying Brad White from Kentucky is likely DC. Okay. Long format interview would be great radio. I would love to do it. It won't happen anytime soon, but I'd love to do it. Old Granddad Bottled and Bond, Hidden Gem. Okay, I do like Bottled and Bond. I do like whiskeys that are bottled and bond. Bradford opted out without officially opting out, but wasn't actually injured. No. Zach Kitley for OC. Lucy B. I like E-Rock. She's a cool chick that doesn't get on my nerves. I'll let her know. Brett Dagro, Brennan and Butte stay, win it all next season, turn it over to Howard and Brian Thomas, Neighbors Hill for 2023. Yeah, I don't think LSU's winning it all next year, Brett. That's a nice thought, but yeah, no. Matt, you're obviously a bourbon guy, but if anyone out there is a vodka guy, you know Grey Goose. They bought Pinnacle Vodka. It's made the same, third of the price, tastes the same. Michael, my understanding of vodka is it's distilled clean to be basically to take all of the flavor out of it, so you could use it as a mixer. Anyway. Be fair, who's drinking champagne in the studio? Rivers. When she comes in on Fridays, she brings champagne, and they drink champagne. Like every Friday when I go in studio, there's empty champagne bottles in the trash. Excuse me, y'all. Michael Barnhill. Matt, you think Durante has chops to stay as DC? I don't think that they'll keep him, no. Do I think he could? Sure, but I don't think they will. Where are we? Jeremiah Hardell, with Max gone, does that mean that there isn't a reason for Nuss to redshirt? I think if you're Nuss and you can preserve your red shirt and you want to, you do it. Anyway, Devin Brown, I even liked the video, for Christ's sakes. Thank you, Devin Brown. It's a Florida avatar? Well, thank you. Appreciate that. Mike and M, do you think Wade got the team's attention after the old-fashioned run until they puke practice the other day? Will is very good at knowing when to compliment his team after a loss and when to push them after a win to prevent them from getting the big head. Like, after they beat Ohio and he went into his whole "it's not sustainable" rant, you won the game by double digits. He's very good at that, at knowing when to pick him up and say, we played so hard. And Will's very good at mentally knowing his team. Trey Beatty, heard the comment on Louisiana not producing O-linemen. Never heard an explanation why that is. Louisiana high school teams have big kids that play O-line, right? Great question, Trey. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's coaching the technical aspect of the game. Maybe it's maybe more of it, Trey, is if you have big athletic guys in Louisiana, they play in the defensive line, which is why we produce a lot of defensive linemen. I mean, could Glenn Dorsey have played on the offensive line? Probably, but he wasn't a great defensive lineman. Could Mason Smith have been a left tackle? Sure. Well, he's a defensive tackle. Maybe that's more of it. It's why, like, a lot of guys that are these big receivers, that are super athletic, if they would put on some weight and play defensive end and rush the passer, they could become elite defensive ends. But everybody wants to catch the ball. Dane Bergeron. Matt, you got me to switch to YouTube. Gotcha, Dane. Thank you. Paul Batch, who's going to write the rise and fall of Eddie O's LSU tenure? That'll be a page turner. Gilbo and Rab's going to fight in the pastime parking lot for it. Miles made 30 for 30. I don't know, man. It won't be me, I'll tell you that much. Brett Dagro, E.H. Taylor's the best of the bottle and bond small batch. E.H. Taylor's very good. My dad's ex-member on his staff, Coach Kevin Mawai at Leesville, Coach Wayne Johnson. Coach Johnson was also his strength and conditioning coach at Leesville. Long time ago, man. Kevin's up with the Colts right now, doing good. Will Wade is a mafia warlord. He's an absolute beast. Terrell Guidry, Wilson salary went from $200K to $900K to leave McNeese. If I was him, I'd have walked from Lake Charles to Baton Rouge. No brainer. EJ, I know every program loses players when a coaching change occurs. When are we going to be on the positive end of this? Brian Kelly will get players. He'll get players to flip. Wade looks like someone who works at Accenture but is an American gangster. Erica always laughs at. She loves Wade. She loves his tantrums and how fiery he is. She knows nothing about sports, but she loves that he looks just like a nerdy guy who gets all fired up and emotional and stuff. So, yeah. So if Bradford really was injured, why'd you bring it up like you did? I didn't say he was injured. You said he opted out. I didn't say he opted out either. Thanks, man. Most of our day, anyone address that question. You, sir, earn a thumbs up. Thank you, Trey. Oh, you talking about the offensive lineman? Yeah. Let's see any more. Is Sam Nader staying on? Sam Nader already retired. He left after last year. All right, any more? Ronnie Duga, thanks for spending so much time this morning. 10 voters since 7 a.m. Long day. At least you took an hour away. You got it, man. Glad you're here, Ronnie. Now that O is gone, are you unblackballed? Good question, Dale. I don't believe that I'm blackballed from Brian Kelly yet. He and I have not met. I just asked him the question in the press conference. So I have plenty of time to piss him off, though. But I'm guessing he's a little more mature and probably won't care what's said about him on the radio. But I don't know. We'll find out. What was better in 2019, the season or the hype videos? Also, which video wins Joe Burrow's Heisman to set it off for the national championship? Burrow. Burrow. Todd Harris, I love this. Can you just go all day? Blake Oob, what's up? When was the last time there's so many coaching changes in the same year? I really don't know that. Nick, this doesn't seem any different to me than a normal year. Because every time you have a change, it starts off the chain reaction, right? Someone gets fired, a spot comes open, you hire someone, well, now that job is open, right? Like, you just had LSU, USC, LSU, USC, Oklahoma, Florida, all in the same year, which is significant. That's just 4 really big jobs all in the same year. Will they retain Carter? Trey, I don't think so. I mean, you can't bring in a new coach because you fired the old coach. As bad as the culture was and all this stuff, you can't bring in the new guy and keep all of the guys that the old guy hired, which contributed to that culture. You just can't do it. All right, I think we're just about done. Michael B., hope you're not blackballed. The other LSU channels tend to fluff us while I come here for the real stuff. Look, Michael, I'll tell you this, man. I don't know what other people say or do, and I really don't care. Everybody can do their show however they want to do their show. But here's what I'll just give you a little insight into what my sort of opinion perspective has always been on something like that. It's kind of the Simon Cowell effect, all right? And I don't know if you watched American Idol back in the day, but you had all the judges up there, and it was Randy Jackson, Paul Abdul, and Simon, or whatever. And Simon was a jerk. Like, he would be rude and stuff like that, but he was also the only one that was really innately honest. And what it meant was because he was so willing to be critical that when he actually liked something, everyone took it more seriously because you knew that he legitimately liked it. He wasn't just considering their feelings. That's kind of the approach. I don't intend to be a jerk. I'm not trying to hurt people's feelings ever. I'm just going to be honest. If I think a coach does a good job, I'm going to say it. If I think a coach does a bad job, I'm going to say it. And not everybody can handle that. But it also lends credibility if I tell you I think they're going to lose a game. That when I say I think they're going to win, you believe me that I'm not just making that up to, as you put it, fluff you. Does that make sense? I mean, that's my whole approach. Yeah, there's a lot of homers in media. That's not just at LSU. That's everywhere. Because a lot of people that get into sports do it because they love sports and they think, oh, it's so cool, I get to cover my favorite team. And there is, an element of that. There's no question. But it's also very hard to be impartial in that respect. And you lose credibility when that's the case. So Some people want affirmation. You know, they just want to hear all the good stuff. And that's fine. And there's plenty of places you can get that. But you got to be willing to say that you think they're going to lose when you think they're going to lose. You got to be willing to say that's a bad hire when you think it's a bad hire. You got to be willing to say the bad stuff for people to believe that you're sincere when you say the good stuff. So, I don't know. And if it's worked so far, and if one day I wake up to do Morning Scone and there's not 229 on YouTube, and well, we're down to 76 on Facebook, but if we're not over 300 people on a Saturday morning, and it's like just me and then my dad's watching, and then like trivia, because trivia is always going to be like, if it's just the three of us, then I'm probably like, you know what, I should probably get a new profession now. Like, I should go do something else. And I'll go do something else. But anyway. Brad Osborne, Manny Diaz hired at Penn State. Hoping LSU have taken a look at him. Yeah, I'm a little torn. I'm a little conflicted on Manny. You know, he really aggressive guy. He's had some good years. Was at Tech. Was at Mississippi State. So he's got SEC experience. He's got Louisiana experience. He's also had some really down defenses, and I guess it just candidly, I've never like dug deep enough into Manny Diaz's career to know, like, all right, when the defenses went badly, like how much of that was his fault? What was it? Was it personnel? Was it who they were playing? All that sort of stuff. Ooh, I like that question. Trey Mitchell, what's the best dish at Ruffino's? I always get a ribeye. I eat steak when I go to Ruffino's. But the great thing about Ruffino is you can get pretty much anything. Like, you can get the wood oven pizza, which is really good. You can get any of the Italian dishes, like the arancini. You can get seafood. I'd tell my favorite appetizer is their seared tuna. Favorite appetizer. It's seared ahi tuna with caviar, and it's served on a Himalayan salt block. Ugh. I could eat like 10 of those for my meal. It's incredible. What? Hey, babe. Someone asked what's the best meal at Ruffino's. Best dish. Well, so I was told him I always get steak, but then I was like, you can get a lot of stuff. Like, even the pizza's good there if you want something more casual. It's like my favorite appetizer is the seared tuna with the caviar on the Himalayan salt block. Erica loves that too. Yeah. What time does Saints play now? Noon. So I can schedule an album on the I'm going to church tomorrow. Why didn't you hope it's Saints? Okay, I can go early. No, I'm asking you. Yeah, that's fine. So I'll go early. Yeah, I'll go to 9:45 church tomorrow. So you'll be home for maybe. So it means an early morning scone tomorrow. So I can schedule for your nails. What's the best dish at Popeyes? Ooh, 3-piece, spicy with the extra breast. You got to substitute the extra breast. Yeah. Chase Meloso, Scone. I've always wondered, would you know the ballpark number of your average daily viewership, listenership of AFR? Just curiosity. Is it 5,000? It's way more than 5,000. 100,000? Always wondered how large your audience is. Yeah, it's larger than that. We've been very blessed, man. Been very blessed. Because you got to keep in mind, Chase, you've got terrestrial radio on 104.5 ESPN, 100.3 in New Orleans, and 94.7 in Alexandria. We had, until recently, a cable TV audience on CST, which is now tape delayed on YourView, which is annoying. But anyway. You've got live viewership on YouTube. And then you also have to consider the people who podcast the show, who go back and listen and just choose to listen on their own time via podcast, which, shoot, I got my podcast numbers. They sent me this yesterday. you go. Let's see. Like my podcast downloads, AFR podcast downloads, right? This is for the year. This is just the AFR podcast downloads for the year. It's 2.858 million. So, I mean, which 2.8 million divided by 50? How many weeks have we had? 50 weeks out of the year so far. Let's see. Let's see. 2.858 million. 2.858. 50 weeks so far of the year. So just on podcast alone, that's 57,000 a week. That's just on podcast, 57,000 a week. So Chase, I work shift work, so half the time I'm listening after at midnight to 3 a.m. See, so Chase larger than 100. Yeah, I mean, I just told you we got more than 57,000 just on podcast per week. That doesn't include Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, TV, YouTube. I remember listening when you announced you were extended to 6 p.m. 2010, maybe. Yeah. We started the show in February of 2010. And we were on 3 to 5 initially because the man who was the general manager at the time, the guy before Gordy, and Gordy was the sales manager at the time, but wanted to keep 5 to 7 open to possibly put a news talk show on from 5 to 7 p.m. on ESPN. It was you got to keep in mind, I was 20, how old was I, 20? How old was I? 28? I was 27. I was 27. Yeah, I was 27. 27 and a half. So I was 27 when they hired me, when I started AFR. And I don't think the guy knew whether or not I could do 3 hours or carry a show or sustain it and all, the GM. But it was very stupid to not be on in the 5 o'clock hour because it's drive time. That's the primary drive time hour. So it was about, it was only maybe a month or so, a couple months before they were like, okay, you need to be on it. So I extended into the 5 o'clock hour. So I went from 3 to 5 to 3 to 6. But initially we were 3 to 5. It's difficult to believe there was ever anything before Gordy's massive forehead. Oh God. The whole house is creaking. The wind, Jesus, it's dark outside. Yo, we about to get a big old storm, huh? Man. Anyway. Okay. Well, anyway, so if anybody knows people who want to spend money, who want to sponsor a really successful show, we've been very fortunate. Giant audience. Oh, Lord, there's a guy running outside. It's going to get blown away. All right, y'all, I got to go. Y'all have an awesome day. As always, shout out to Brock, Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic, HUDCO Roofing, HUDCOroofing.com. Another quick reminder, you, family member, friend, neighbor, anyone you know who had roof damage to Ida or think you might have had roof damage to Ida, especially if you had roof damage, you've already had your insurance adjuster come out, you've got your scope of work, like you're at the finish line. Call us, we'll pick out a shingle color, and we will get you roofed maybe even before Christmas. So give us a shout, HUDCOroofing.com, 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 or you can email me directly, matt@HUDCOroofing.com, M-A-T-T, matt@HUDCOroofing.com. Okay, y'all have an awesome day. Peace. We'll see you soon.